Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Let's do a very special thing. Let's celebrate with each other. Let's look with a joyful heart and hopeful expectation of great things to come. As we live, love, and laugh together, we learn and we celebrate life. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I imagine as I sit here and look through the window, it's not just into the smiling face of Susan, it's beyond a vista, rolling hills atop a mountain with the cresting, bay below. The seas and my sailboat just into a cove. You want me to tell you more about it? Well, join us. There's going to be some open line until 1 o'clock. And my good friend Shane Noby Edwards is going to make his way from the east. I don't know if we can't see if we can use the helicopter for good purpose and bring him in. But if not, we'll make it happen. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. I know many of us follow the international media. We do so with great interest, with an inquiry in mind, with a critical analysis of what is being said and shared. And for some of us, we look not only at the timing of the publication, the presenter, perhaps the body language sometimes may, unbeknownst to the presenter, communicate certain things. And for some of us, it may be that we're just drawing an inference. You think back to that analysis way back when, again, from the U.S. media, using their, at that point in time, primary sort of news broadcast stations. And it was said that if you were to analyze well-known, maybe the more popular presenters at that particular time period, when it came to elections coverage, specifically the U.S. presidential election, there were those who surmised that what was said and the way it was said, the presenter sort of projected a level of bias. Were they in favor of this particular candidate, and they didn't necessarily like this one. And body language, they say, speaks volumes. Well, I asked that to ask ourselves as we talk to certain of the issues. Maybe we can have that discussion. But let's go to the phones and welcome this first caller. Hey, fantastic Friday. Good afternoon to you. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Wayne. Wayne, how are you?
Listen, I'm in the land of the living. I thank God, for His mercies and blessings, grace, favor, privilege, protection, provision, and good people in my life, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It reminds me of the old song I used to sing when I used to go to church more often than I do now. I'll sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. I will sing, I will sing.
I will sing.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, Dwayne, I just thought, well, let me chime in on two issues. First, I want to say something about when we chatted last time. I think you wanted a little bit more of a discussion on that issue of
Declaration.
The constitutional issue about the incompatibility issue. Yeah. But before I say that, let me say something about the governor, because the governor was on OC's show this morning.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes public officials, sometimes we can be overcritical, but sometimes I think we should call them out, particularly at a time when they've just appeared on TV, on radio. You see, this governor always goes on shows, and again, he went on a show today to talk about good governance and you know, the need to prosecute people who are breaching COVID and so forth. And I think that is all fine. But my disappointment has always been that when in our private lives, we go to these authorities with specific problems to now say, if we can borrow Martin Luther King's words, leave out the meaning of your creed. Don't just talk about it.
Right.
Leave it out. Then they fail. And to me, it goes back to what happened in my own case when I brought a case against a judge, Mr. Ian Kawali, and then it went to the Court of Appeal. And the governor looked at these allegations I made against the judge. You know, I'm an attorney at law. I can't just make an allegation in affidavit because that would also put me in trouble. When he read those allegations, this is what he said. I'll read it to you. It's only about 5 pages, not 5 pages, no, 5 lines long. It's only about 5. This is what he said when he read the allegations, and this is the answer which he gave together with the Attorney General in a formal filing to respond to my formal affidavit. And they said, the respondents, meaning the two of them, the respondents further note with considerable concern the content of the applicant's affidavit submitted by way of applicant's evidence submitted by way of an affidavit sworn on 10 November 2019. His evidence appears to raise significant allegations which should be tested by way of cross-examination and with reference to relevant documents provided by way of disclosure. While the Court of Appeal may hear evidence, the initial testing of evidence is generally carried out by the Grand Court, which has extensive rules in place to deal with the same, unquote. What is the governor and the Attorney General saying in this statement? They're saying, we have seen the allegations, they are sworn, and they are backed up by documents. We don't think that this matter should just be glossed over. We want you to go to the Grand Court where it can be heard. So I took it to the Grand Court. When I took it to the Grand Court, what happened? The same two people came to the Grand Court and said, squash it, don't even hear it, strike it out, and more than that, after you strike it out, you make an order to say that for 2 years, this person should not bring up any case relating to this matter again. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to anybody? No. To me, I concluded, no. They saw the problems in the end, but due to politics in the middle, they decided, let us save this judge. And I think, to me, when a person like that goes out now, wants to talk about good governance as a governor, you are being disingenuous, because why didn't you allow me to do that? And unfortunately, the judge at that point also sided with them and gave those orders. And now they've put me in a position where I've had to file an appeal, which I have done, and we're hoping that will be heard soon. I think it should have been served today, I think, on the governor. I filed it in August and so.
Right.
But let me talk about the issue, if I've got just a little time, on the issue of incompatibility, which we discussed a little bit last time.
Before you do, if I could just maybe ask, in an instance where someone goes before a court to file, there are costs involved, not just the attorney's fees, but there are court fees involved. So this is something that it requires someone to have a level of access to funding and to legal counsel, right?
You are right in the sense that when you go to court, one, you have to pay your lawyer, you have to pay the court as well. I mean, it is very, very difficult to get funding, like public funding for some of these cases, particularly mine, you see, because I'm suing a judge and the Chief Justice is implicated, the governor is implicated, the Attorney General is implicated in my general allegations. It's been very difficult. Like, I haven't even tried to see if I can get funding for it. You can imagine for a case which has got even more public interest, like Atina Anglin, she has had a problem really getting the public to fund it. But my problem with the funding, the costing, is that they have actually, by the way, it's good you asked that. They have actually charged me cost now to say that I shouldn't have brought the case. It's so frivolous. And yet this is a case I brought partly on the advice of the governor to say, you go to court because we think your allegations are very important. I think it's very, very unfair. When we talk about good governance, we should apply it in practice. We should make sure that people feel that when they finally lose a case, maybe they can reflect to say, well, I see what I brought this action. I see the reasoning of the judge. But in my case, for example, even if you read the judgment, you will never even read any of my 12 emails on which I relied to make the allegations, which I provided in an affidavit sworn. You will not even read them in the judgment because they are not quoted there, and they were deliberately not quoted because the reason is because they would have proved publicly that the judge was lying and I was right. So rather than the judge just say that I should win the case, his best way of doing it was to suppress the important thing that I put in. And then decide that, well, there was actually no case here. And in fact, that was only one of the things that was suppressed. There were so many other things suppressed. But that's the story.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am hoping, I don't know when it will be heard, that the Court of Appeal sits, I think their last sitting was about in August or so. There should be another session coming in November. I don't think mine will make November. The chances are it's likely to be about in March next year. But I really hope that people can follow into that because I'm hoping that, like I said last time, that we could lead to some reform regarding the way in which you can complain against judges. I should add, actually, in relation to that, I had asked the Chief Justice to say, well, can you tell me what principles you use when people file complaints against judges because you don't have any rules? And up to now, the Chief Justice has refused to answer that question to a point where they have wound up in a stalemate with their ombudsman. So there are all kinds of authorities I'm waiting for.
Right. And again, just to clarify, as you go into the point relative to the Constitution, maybe we can just ask. We have within the Constitution one of the commissions, for good governance, and the Judicial Legal Services Commission, I think, falls within that ambit as well, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
Okay.
I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. Sorry, please finish.
Yeah, no. And I'm guided by you because I think this is where, as I listen to what you relay, it would appear that in terms of advancing our democracy, ensuring good governance, and I think the judiciary, especially here but everywhere, wants to not only be seen to be always above board, but that thing without reproach in every facet. With what you were sharing from the governor's and the Attorney General's response, one has to wonder, as you shared before, do we need an independent entity, not just one person, but maybe a significant panel that can look at appointment, sanction, and discipline where necessary, that is, separate and apart from any, perception that they're connected to the body in which they're asked to review.
Yes, you see, that's precisely what the problem is. In fact, the reason that I took the drastic step to sue a judge was precisely because there is no credible system that is out there for complaining against a judge. Okay, and by a system that is not credible, I am saying there is no, which is precisely what you are referring to. There is no independent body outside of the judiciary which actually looks at complaints. But before I say that, let me say also that, you see, the appointment of judges in the Cayman Islands, I would wish that their appointment, including renewals of contracts, would go to the Legislative Assembly for approval, the way it is in different parts of the United States. I come originally, as you know, Dwayne, from an African country. That African country of Zambia, it introduced as far back as the 90s. They said, we want the judges to go through a committee in the same way they do in the United States for Supreme Court judges, to go to a committee there, let the politicians chime in on the on these people who are coming in. And that was changed. We also had a system similar to Cayman, but they had to change it because they said, well, we want people to come in. What we can do in Cayman, that is one thing that can be done. The other thing, and this one can be done immediately, the Judicial and Legal Services Commission should have power to receive complaints regarding judges. At the moment, if you want to complain against a judge, you have to go to another judge. How can that work? If you want to complain against a judge, you go to the Chief Justice. Very often the Chief Justice is part of the problem. If you want to complain against a judge of the Court of Appeal, you go to the President of the Court of Appeal. What do you expect? I have used both systems. What you get back is a one-page letter saying there is nothing wrong here. If you have got a problem, you appeal it. Even if the nature of the problem is not appealable. In other countries, they are very clear. You go to a separate body. The separate body carries out a preliminary investigation. They ask the judge to say what happened. If it's a criminal offense, they themselves can report the matter as a criminal offense. It's all structured well.
Okay. If I could invite you, if you have time, that section of the Constitution relative to the Declaration of Incompatibility, we have a break. Would you, I know there's a call after, revisit that because we've had a couple of questions, and as a practicing attorney, we wouldn't mind your input on that. Could we take a few minutes of your time after?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hold on, yes.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll ask that because it's interesting. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years,
so much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Did you know that you must discard fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater? For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And online is one of our attorneys, Malika Samamba. We also have another call in the queue. But, Billy, as we were looking at the Constitution way back when as part of the process, many people see it as a dry document, have little or no interest, and probably don't pay sufficient attention for various reasons. So I appreciate you giving us a quick lesson, in particular that section. Is it what, section 23, 22?
23, yeah.
23, yeah. I don't have it in front of me, the Declaration of Incompatibility, right? So let us learn from you and maybe engage slightly, please.
Yes, please. And I'll try to be brief.
Okay.
I'm looking at the section right now. As you said, it's section 23, Declaration of Incompatibility. It says, 1, if in any proceeding primary legislation is found to be incompatible with this part, meaning the human rights part of the Constitution, the court must make a declaration recording that the legislation is incompatible with the relevant section or sections of the Bill of Rights and the nature of that incompatibility. Yeah. So you are dealing with an act of parliament and you look at it, or a regulation, you look at it, you say, yes, this is incompatible with the Constitution. The court can make a declaration that is incompatible with the Bill of Rights. Then when it makes a declaration, what does it do? 2, it says, a declaration of incompatibility made under subsection 1 shall not constitute repugnancy to this order and shall not affect the continuation in force and the operation of the legislation or section or sections in question. So in a nutshell, once the court finds that, well, this section is incompatible, it will still apply the law, okay, as written. It will still apply. And then 3, the last one, which is 2 lines only. In the event of a declaration of incompatibility made under subsection 1, the legislature shall decide how to remedy the incompatibility. So, in other words, once the court finds out that this is incompatible, it just declares it's incompatible, but it will say, I will still apply it, and then leave it to the legislature to determine that. Now, it is important to note that this is not always the case. Like in the United States, since an old case of Marbury versus Madison in 1803, the U.S. Supreme Court decided that if an act of Congress is incompatible with the Constitution, it can be declared unlawful and struck off the statute book.
Right, and the judgment is what becomes law.
Exactly. The judgment is what becomes law.
Right.
But it can't amend it or anything like that. The Supreme Court can't amend it the way Smelly tried to do it. No. But it can just say, we have looked at this now, it is unlawful, and we will strike it out, that's all. But in Cayman, it was decided that they didn't want to go to that. They wanted to go to this. In one sentence, Dwayne, the country I come from in Zambia, a judge can strike out a provision of a statute like that, and it happened one time in the 1980s. One provision was struck out as being unconstitutional, and the government accepted it, and they never appealed it.
Right. So in this instance, and I know you've been on for an extended, so thank you very much. I'm glad you sent us a bill for your time.
Thanks.
Maybe it's our way of legal aid, but let's just clarify that, right? So in the U.S. context, we, as you shared, the courts can say, well, we don't like this, now this is the law, and that law no longer applies. In the Cayman context, and I think Professor Jowl, who was paid by the government as a consultant for the constitutional review process, on many public occasions, including here as a guest on the studio, shared that the intent was that, it would be for what was then the Legislative Assembly and now what is our House of Parliament, would be the ones that would decide whether the law is to be amended or not. The judge can say, this doesn't bode well, this is not compatible with it, but the judge can't do anything. So just to repeat it, in the Cayman context, a judge can't do that, or can this result in a few people's perception that, yep, the courts can make law, and this is now the new law, as we saw recently with 1 or 2 instances?
Well, in the Cayman Islands, all that a judge can do, it can say, yes, this, in my opinion, is incompatible with the Constitution, and leave it there, but otherwise it will apply the law. So in other words, in a practical situation, Chief Justice Smelly could have made or should have made a declaration of incompatibility and then he should have left it to the Legislative Assembly to decide if they want to amend the marriage law. What he did, he went further. He said, I want to amend the marriage law, and that's where he went wrong.
Okay, but that was not in the end. If the Legislative Assembly had not done anything, or the UK through its ultimate power, then that would not have been law, according to our Constitution.
Come again?
Sorry, yeah, if the Legislative Assembly or the UK through the Ordering Council had not intervened, what the courts did in that instance would not have been law. That would not have changed the law, despite the ruling of the court at that time.
Well, exactly. Despite the ruling, there would still have been a need for government to enact a legislation. But you remember what happened when it went to the Court of Appeal? The Court of Appeal said he couldn't do that anyway.
Right. And I know the media talked about, the judge has now changed the law. But thank you for that. I really appreciate you giving us, what was probably almost a half an hour of your time. So thank you very much, all right?
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend. And this is where we learn. We ask learned people who are published and who are lecturers, and we listen. Let's go to the phones, though. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Sterling, I didn't know you were in law school now.
Why, listen, if we don't be a student of life and we don't learn, we never progress. My mother always used the term that has now seem to be popular. A true example, though, never by words, always be a lifelong learner. She would point to her head and say, you have it up here, nobody can take it from you. So she would read extensively, should write copiously, and should encourage, diligent conversation, profound thinking, and a willingness to debate and discuss, and let no man take that voice from you. No man.
Yeah, but Mr. Obama need to get a break, man.
Why?
No, man, he was on. Mr. Sterling make a talk. He was on almost a half an hour.
That's why I said I thank the man for his half hour.
Every day on every show with his own personal issues with the court, man. Man, he need to get a break. We got too much issues in Cayman to deal with, and not everybody interested in his issues and his problems.
Right.
That's not right, man. That's not right, man. And he in Canada, just calling it with his issues.
But let me.
That's not for everybody, man. Yeah. Have a good evening.
Well, sometimes discussions like that could be so helpful if we could engage. Mr. George, with great deference to you, I hope that you understand that there's a great sense of respect that we have for you. But in sharing this, sometimes when we ventilate certain things, it may be our personal laundry we want to air. In this instance, I think it's of critical importance. It could help inform public policy. It could bring light to things that, and if I'm misunderstanding the situation or somehow misguided, please, guide me, because I don't think it's an attempt to be disrespectful of the governor, the governor's office, the judiciary, or any particular judge. It's a process, as I understand it, as he spoke to the Constitution and the issues. Here's something before the courts. He's saying this is what is transpiring, or has transpired. And then when this, to a stage, then we talk about it. It helps us to understand. Anyway, as we go into the break, maybe this is where we learn when we listen. Let's pause and take a break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
You can now register online to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the MyHSA patient portal. Sign up is available online and at all HSA locations. All you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and an email address. Visit hsa.ky and click the MyHSA patient portal icon to get started.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's Open Line. We appreciate your input as we go to our phones. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you today, sir?
I'm good, and you?
Very thankful, indeed. Very thankful.
Dwayne, this is the first time I called your show.
Okay, well, I hope that you get to call more if you wish.
Yes, sir. All right. Why calling concerned about this job Mr. George is saying? I don't agree with Mr. George, and I respect that man very dearly. And Zayal is a good-hearted man, but I think the gentleman, what's his name before the previous caller before Mr. George?
Yeah, the lawyer, Billy Sibang.
Yes, Mr. Bella. Mr. Bella have a right. You see what in this country? This country have gone to the issue where they're suppressing people from airing out what the system have done to them wrongly, and you need to bring a lot of them to shame and take them off of the high horses where they believe they could do wrong and nobody can touch them. Mr. Bella have a wrath with the justice system, which is, I wouldn't want to say corrupt, but if you read between the lines, it's similar to that. Because Mr. Billa have been fighting, and I listened to some of the times that Mr. Billa calls. The man is entitled where you believe that there's wrong. The judge will listen to you. The governor will listen to you. Where can you turn when you can't get justice for something that you feel that was wrong that was done to you? Where can you turn the Privy Council? Explain that one to me, Dwayne.
Okay, well, yeah, I appreciate you sharing it for what it's worth. Someone else has written in to say, so good evening, Mr. Sterling. Your last caller gives some very important information in regard to our legal system. And as you just said, it is of utmost importance that we educate ourselves in all things, because we do not know when we will be in the same situation. I think most people appreciate that gentleman's argument. I always wait to hear the results. It's so. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. There, I mean, justice has to be served, and the man have been wrongly treated, and he felt that way, and he believed that he have a reason to bring up the case and make the public know. Because don't get me wrong, he's not the first in this country that things like that happen to. Because, for instance, the legal aid is something that I can't outright afford. Yeah, I'm making a certain amount of salary. But okay, the justice system where it comes in, like the government decides who get legal aid. I can understand a millionaire that can't afford it, but a person that working a 9 to 5 or he may have a few dollars, who would want to take the entire savings to fight a case if they were wrongfully treated? Who would want to do that? So where you go tell me justice just go out the door because of I don't want to take my salary and I know legal aid can assist me.
But the question, though, I mean, as when we look at, say, legal aid and similar funding and access to the courts, just generally speaking, from what we have heard from people over the years, it can be, time-consuming. It can cost them a lot. They need to find the right attorney to navigate the system. I think people have said, what justice delayed is justice denied, and all sorts of things. But maybe the challenge isn't only the cost and the limited availability of attorneys because of their time or their practice and preference of sort of specialty, but maybe it's the way the system is set up.
The system set up in a way to take advantage of locals. Whenever the locals are able to somebody that really got their papers and in this country try to take the fight to government, The department, what a term that they need is that the prosecution department, DPP or whatever the abbreviation is. They take and fight you and drag you through the system just to take and suck your funds out of you with no avail, and then they keep the case in limbo for years. Remember now, if a lawyer there hanging around or assisting you or doing whatever they can do, they're required to get paid. You understand? And the longer they drag it out, it could be something that could be dealt with in a matter of 2-3 months. They take it and drag it for 3 years. For what? Huh? And they know indefinitely they already know the outcome of what they're going to do with you with that case. They drag it till the dream, the funds, the resource, you're not going to wait to turn. And you literally won't give up. But you know definitely you could see the end result is in your favor, and they're hoping that you just decide to throw the towel in and call it quits.
Well,
this
sometimes
have turned a migrant system where they literally disadvantage the people that deserve to be fairly treated, and they do it because of one reason, so they could keep you in control or keep in control of the people. You understand? Anybody that opposed to them, anybody that bring them up and show them up, that is the way they treat people. And it's sad to see that Cayman, the rest of the world, are leading when it comes to taking advantage of people. Cayman have grown certain areas, they have jumped over them. Cayman have jumped over them. They have disadvantaged their people. Look at what's the lady name is the England that were carrying had the case that I carried to court recently.
Oh, Miss Catino?
Katina, for example, her. You understand? We have rights, but they Cayman remind me so much of the United States. Everybody have to adhere to the human rights laws, and U.S. in general pick certain parts of it that they want to adhere to and hold the world accountable. That's why it coming to.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, it is what it is, and the fight will continue in this country. Instead of we go forward, we keep going backward, and it's only one thing. So the government will always be in control and take advantage. And it might be the entire government system. It might be the entire government system. It's individuals that's in government that can carve things that it benefits them and their little cronies.
Right.
Sorry to say it and sorry to make it seem as bad as it, but it's worse than it. Just sometimes we just get fed up. And I think our people and the people that live in here on paper should be treated better. The system is so watered down that whenever you see the U.S. and every other country decide that they're going to put us on this list, neededly for money discrepancy, financial matters, or look, we had a good rate when it comes to the COVID thing. U.S. took the jump. The rest of the world don't make up their mind. They're going to tarnish Cayman as best as possible, so our economy could collapse and we're going to be dependent like a social welfare state. That's what this country becoming.
Well, maybe it is, as you say, a very sinister move. Maybe it's just inadvertent and nothing deliberate. But as you shared, maybe it's a lack of us as citizens, as inhabitants of this land, being unaware, ill-informed about what is happening, how to process certain things. So, as you referenced, government systems, whether it's the court or otherwise, maybe it's not deliberate and sinister. Maybe it's just an unfortunate way that we have allowed things to unfold, maybe following old practices that are now archaic and doesn't serve the interests of today. And through discussing it, maybe we can find a way to transform the systems to work better for the citizens and to champion that democracy.
When you say work better for the citizens, which citizens are you talking about? The locals that live in here are the ones that flying in on the plane that as they come in here within a few weeks or months, they got more better entitlement than the ones that live here.
But you see, that if that is the perception and if that is the reality, that's most unfortunate, right? And if you give us an example, I know people berate me for this, but when I say Caymanian, for me, it's not a distinction if you are Caymanian like myself that can go back generation, or if it's like my friend who only got citizenship just recently. We're both citizens of the Cayman Islands now. Now, that person might have another passport, might have, other places to retreat if they so choose, right? But we're still citizens in this country. I think what is unfortunate is that when we saw through the immigration system that person could go get a stamp, have a document to say you're Caymanian, my passport, my birth certificate, my voter's ID, nothing seemingly was sufficient to satisfy. I took that, and because of Mr. Steve McPheil's sort of public disclosure of what he experienced in going to the courts to renew his practicing certificate as an attorney, he felt offended, and I think rightly so. After what he said, 1,000 years of filing that every year, all of a sudden he's asked to produce it. I thought, well, that's kind of unfortunate, offensive, maybe the word to use. So we need to find a way that citizenship is citizenship, and it's one and the same, right? Legally, and perceived as such, no matter how the person may portray it. So for me, if we're living and working here, if we're permanent residents, if we think this is our home, let's contribute to making it better. Too many of us take, and none of us want to give. I'm glad to know I know one or two, and a good conversation yesterday with one in particular, who tends to be more of a giver and not take, but too many takers and not enough givers, huh?
Yeah, doing unfortunate law that you said will fall on their ears because you got chosen few in this country that decides they won't carve the lot in favor of themselves and their cronies. Starting to say, but it is in reality spacing because if this side ever disclosing our freedom information, disclosing a lot of the stuff that have been happening in this country in closed chambers and stuff, I mean, the general public would call for some of these aides of department to be fired or dragged out in the middle of town and whipped. You understand? Because they cost this country millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. And the pressuring thing that they need to pay attention is the insurance company, the gas company, the utility company. And for some reason, past and present politicians have gotten in team into power, and none of them have yet got the whiff or the know-how to make up their mind, and they educate or they claim they're educated, but yet at the same time, every 4 years, the same thing happens. Inflation, higher gas prices, and nothing not changed. When the U.S. go up, they go up long before they get the second shipment. They got present shipment here, and you never hear nothing now the woman tell whenever the customer start call, because it costs. No, you jump the gun before the price even pass around the international community. Before you get an order shipment of gas, you already jack up the price. You understand? I can understand. This country have never been a country that been fair. The government do not protect the citizens of this country. The interest, anything that they could take and shift money around so they could do their projects and stuff to make them get reelected, that is what they concern this country. The pressing issue in this country is mortgages, light and water, and when it comes to food, the inflation, you got milk and stuff there, products that it's supposed to be duty-free when you got the most expensive thing in the damn shop. Explain them things to me. You understand? I bring in things often in the country. I bring in the same amount of product on the same invoice. Only different brands, but all the women the same. The invoice comes to the same price, but yet I go on $2,000-$3,000 with the same amount of money. Explain that one to me. Yeah, man.
The real issues, as you shared, aren't being ventilated. And thank you very much. Any closing thoughts?
Well, continue doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, we need people like you and a lot of people in the corners and the corners and the cooks to speak up to make this country better, because sometimes you got to ask if talking makes a difference. It will make a difference. I think slowly but surely, bit by bit, a lot of people are getting brave enough to speak up. So many disadvantage happening in this country, and you need to put stop from the top, come down, because the problem trickles from the top, come down.
Right. Well, listen, I appreciate you having the courage and taking the time to share your thoughts, man. A blessed, safe, productive weekend to you, and maybe we can hear from you whenever you have time again.
Yes, sir. Likewise to you and your family.
Amen, bro. Blessings, man. Blessings. All right, let's pause and take that news break. The fella comes into the studio after head well shave, shirt well shine. Want to see him? Well, hit us up on the YouTube. Susan will put the camera on No B. You want to see why? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. The East End Public Library will be closed for deep cleaning today and tomorrow. This measure comes after an employee tested positive for COVID-19. Other members of staff will also be tested during the closure. In international news, a pill to treat COVID developed by the U.S. company Pfizer cuts the risk of hospitalization or death by 89% in vulnerable adults, clinical trial results suggest. The drug Paxlovid is intended for use soon after symptoms develop in people at high risk of severe disease. It comes a day after the UK medicines regulator approved a similar treatment from Merck. Ethiopia's military has called on former soldiers to rejoin the army as it battles to hold off a rebel advance. The appeal comes as rebel forces, spearheaded by the Tigray People's Liberation Front, make advances towards the capital. The U.S. Embassy has told all U.S. citizens to leave Ethiopia as soon as possible amid a very fluid security situation. Hours earlier, 9 anti-government groups forged an alliance to dismantle the Prime Minister's government. The government has said it will continue to fight what it calls an existential war. And white men in pickup trucks chased Ahmaud Arbery for 5 minutes, and one threatened to shoot him as they cut off his escape from a Georgia subdivision and ultimately killed the 25-year-old black man with a shotgun, a prosecutor told a trial jury Friday. In her opening statement, prosecutor Linda Danakoski said the short cell phone video that stirred national outrage over the slaying gave only a glimpse of the attack on Arbery, who gave his pursuers no reason to suspect him of any wrongdoing. Arbery's killing on February 23, 2020 was largely ignored until the video leaked and deepened a national reckoning over racial injustice. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
We bring songs of praise into the house of the Lord.
Radio Cayman, this is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give me praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. He's a name in the Lamb's book of life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flows through my lips. Your work moves through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Maybury Salisbury Kirkconnell, OBE JP, 1931 to 2002. Captain Maybury's career in public service began as a young man when he received medical treatment and would spend his school holidays assisting the local doctor on Cayman Brac. He was one of the pioneers of Cayman Brac Power and Light Company, Faith Hospital, and Kirkconnell Community Care Center. He was a deacon at his church and often served as lay pastor, an opportunity he cherished. He was also a master mariner. Captain Maybury was elected to the Legislative Assembly in 1980 and served for 20 years. In 1996, he was elected Speaker, the second person to hold the post, and the first sitting MLA to be elected to the position. He did not seek re-election in 2000, but later accepted the legislators' unanimous call to return for another term as Speaker. He retired in 2001. Captain Maybury treasured his years in public service and lived by his motto, country before self. Although he and his wife, Marilyn Nee Parchman, had no children, they raised a grandniece, Otelia McKeever Scott, and Captain Maybury helped several BRAC young people to obtain a higher education. Captain Maybury, Salisbury, Kirkconnell.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for joining us. What a wonderful way to have to celebrate a Friday when Nobi gets on the expressway and makes his way all the way into town. That's a long drive, my friend. Good afternoon, Nobi.
Good afternoon, man.
Good to see you, man.
I'm really thankful that I can drive and get here, you know.
Yeah, man.
Some people are not able to get here.
You know...
Meaning physically.
Physically, yeah. I'm hopeful that... We all have burdens to bear. You know, we have sometimes that sense that we're shouldering the world's problems. You know, we carry all the weight on our shoulders, right? We are, without question, sometimes pressured, stressed, and stretched, and feel the trials, the tribulations, the challenges of life. For some of us, you wouldn't even know it because we're just grateful and gracious. For others, they cut their fingernail a little bit too short. And you think the world is coming to an end. So it takes all kinds to make it go around. But you're a man with a smile, a sense of purpose.
Boy, the one thing I think I need to clarify before we start today is because I had so much people saying to me, "Oh, you on that show? You're the talk show host." And
yeah, man.
I just want to know I'm just a guest. I'm not a talk show host. I'm just so grateful that I'm able to share the stage here with Dwayne and actually bring my opinions forward.
Well, I appreciate you, like others who've accepted the invitation. Like you, there are some of us who are willing to say, listen, here's an opinion, here's a perspective, here's something that I've been thinking about, I read, I heard, what does this mean? And like a couple of the callers earlier who are of the view that we should be able to ventilate certain things and discuss it. But just like the caller prior who said, listen, I'm tired of hearing about this stuff. There's other things, right?
Yeah.
We need to get to a space and a place where each opinion has merit and is respected and is given a platform. Now, it would be unfortunate if voices are silenced or if good views in council are ignored or denied.
Yeah.
And you and others who share may encourage people to appreciate that, you know what, we got to do the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think that generally... I was listening in and I heard the caller and I generally understand where he's coming from because I think this is a time where a lot of people in Cayman are stressed, and they have their own concerns here locally. But I must say that I know the importance of what that lawyer was saying a while ago, and I'm sure many others do. And at the end of the day, that's the only way that we could become informed by people giving us this sort of feedback. Because a lot of this I didn't know, and I would want to look into it and learn a lot more about our Constitution and how it affects us. So
there are two WhatsApps I want to read for us in a second, but just to that point, it may be because some of us were closer to the political table and we got to hear a lot more, maybe from very early in our lives, or maybe as we got older, our personal interest. But I think there was a time when the perception was that the discussion of the Constitution, maybe fueled by the comments of politicians or others, that was not something that we discussed publicly, because it meant that if you talked about the Constitution, you were taking independence, or the discussion of the Constitution was only to be had at this time by these people in this place. What is helpful, I think, in the last few decades, we've seen small, very incremental steps, but steady progress, public discussion. Now we may go so far to one side that we no longer have a semblance of balance and fairness. That pendulum has shifted, and as you get on the seesaw, you find yourself, hitting the ground or too far up in the air. But there are particular Constitution that we look at. Professor Jowl, like many of the pundits at the time, were publicly, inviting discussion. We had extensive conversations here. What is it that we want? What does, this thing impacting this thing? What would this mean? And so the more that we're informed about it, the more that we might realize, what? This is weak. We need to strengthen it. Oh, this is actually good. We need to defend it. But if you don't know, you don't know. What does it say? The only thing you know is that you don't know what you don't know. You just don't know you don't know.
Very true.
All right, let me read these two emails, WhatsApps. Anybody who wants, Shane Noby Edwards sits with us. Susan answers the phone. I'll tell you a secret, if you call, she answers the phone. And if you didn't know that, now you know. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. Says, I agree with the caller earlier who called to defend the gentleman who gave us the report on his case. And I would say again, many times we perish due to the lack of knowledge. And as the caller said, with no disrespect to our judicial system, it doesn't mean that they're always putting together right legislation for the best interest of all of us, right? Because that's why we have to seek legal advice, sometimes stand up against our opponents, right? This one's referencing COVID-19, yeah. So it's pretty much headlines around the world, and in our little islands, it seems like people are still still panicking for just a virus that we are handling, and we are able to fight. So let's stop the scare tactics and let's try to do our best to contain it. On one end, I think there's much more sicknesses around the world. They're killing people much faster on an everyday basis. For instance, like cancer. It would, if you look at the statistics, we would realize that it is in much more other diseases. I want to find it when I was saying earlier. I saw the message pop up, but I don't know where it went to. I didn't know what it said, I guess, but I don't see it there. But why I reference that is that in our discussion now, there are a lot of things happening in Cayman, a lot of things that people are concerned about. The gentleman who talked about mortgages. Is it that people are worried, not just because they're struggling now with paying their utilities, paying their mortgage or their rent, worried that, what if my employer has to let me go? What if I'm the employer and I gotta let go staff? What is it going to look like? And that sort of stress can affect people. We're going into Christmas. Do you have money to buy gifts for your children, even so one gift? One of the saddest country songs is how's it go, Susan? If I only make it through December, come this time of year, if I make it through December, right? And when I heard that, it hits you.
True.
And maybe that's how people are feeling right now. They want to be ready to celebrate, but they can't. They're feeling the loss of loved ones. They're worrying about, are they going to be able to survive? What's going to happen? So we got to be positive, right?
Yeah, but you're hitting some points that's hard to answer.
But that's the thing, man. Ask questions.
I think that it would have been great that from the time Grace came around, that the government had taken an approach of employing or trying to get more of those cleanups going on with some of the individuals who don't have any. I mean, and this might not be the mortgage part, but some people who don't have any income and are out there, because there's still a large percentage of people that are unemployed that are in that kind of category of work. These are things that I'm sure they're looking into it, but I'm just reiterating, that what I'm seeing. Last night, I didn't want to bring this up, but last night about 2:00 in the morning, someone knocked on my door, and they were looking for something. I just kind of, just getting kind of tough. We don't know what's going to be happening down the line. So I believe if we could get most of these people employed, and something is done, and some action is taken, it would probably put us in a better position.
I wonder, and this is why I appreciate an opportunity to talk with you, right?
Yeah.
Because it allows us to think. It may cause other people who are listening to question or to comment. And just generally speaking, I think anybody, especially you, want to be disrespectful to any politician or any position of authority.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes as a society we expect too much of our politicians, of our government. Maybe we have a sort of a misunderstanding of their roles. Maybe they themselves think that in order to remain popular and to get that vote, this is what they have to do because they think this is what was done to get elected or to get elected by other people, so they follow it. But the question is, at the end of the day, how do we get to a space where we use the common, better yet, use the collective intellect and ambition and the resources for the betterment of all of us, right? You're talking about putting people back to work. I'm not sure how we're seeing.
I'm sure that they're working on something. I keep coming here saying that because there is a new government, but the concerns or these issues were going on before.
Right,
so anybody that comes in should know that these are concerns that we have to address. I just don't like to see anybody hurting.
But
and I know these are difficult times, especially with this COVID now coming back through. Some people have to be off, and everybody's worried. You have,
But is that the challenge, though? Is it that societies, and with respect to our own, is it that we expect the government to do everything?
You know what? That is the thing. But let me just put this back in context. If I'm going to be saying the right thing, but I'm always vocal about things, right? When we went to university, we graduated. Both me and you came back to Cayman. We got a scholarship. We came back to Cayman, and we worked in government, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a great thing. There's a lot of other people that happened to, but then down the line it changed. Right. So we don't want to rely on government, and we left all of our kids that went to school that they could come back and work anywhere in Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that most of them don't get jobs? They're lined up forever. So if we're leaving the onus on the private sector or other people to do it, it doesn't seem like it's working. To me.
Yeah, is that part of the challenge that as we look at the societal impact? And like you shared, this is not this government or even the last government, and if it's not addressed, subsequent governments will face it.
Yeah.
But as a people, I think that exercise that was Vision, 2008, collectively, so many people, came together and looked at various issues. Now, that was a long time ago, but maybe it's still relevant. Maybe there are things there that just need to be revised and updated. Maybe there are things that are completely off kilter, but you get a chance to look at it in hindsight. But are we, as a country, looking collectively as to what our society should look like going forward? Now, we want safety, security, and stability. We want a quality of life. How many of us have traveled to places where we're told, hey, don't go there, right? Now, we would not want that for Cayman. Or those of us who live in certain parts feel justifiably so highly offended when the media or other people make comments about avoiding those spaces, because that is really, and it should not be the case. But if it's not addressed, it may become. But that little community is still us. And if we avoid that, then soon it'll become elsewhere. I remember a time when driving through South Sound, it was like a double town. I mean, it certainly didn't have much interest. It was, mangroves, but to many people, wow, it's on the coast. It was swamp, right? Now, is it a space that people gravitate to, or is it a space that sensible people avoid? Matter of perspective, right? But it's still Cayman. And if it's divided Cayman, we can't truly have a blessed land. So with that in mind, and what do we do, and how do we do it in the sense of getting people to appreciate there's now all hands on deck, and let's stop pointing fingers. And when we do, whether it's the highest office in the land, appointed or elected, or whether it's a new recruit, to be pointing fingers and saying, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm going to draw alongside to help you share the responsibility, give you the resources, the training, the assistance. And if you can't cut the mustard, well, it's time for you to be replaced.
Yeah,
but
what I was trying to probably get at is that we have the government as assisting otherwise, because most of the private sector, most other businesses are hit, right? Because tourism isn't in and all this other stuff. But at the same time, we're assisting in other ways. So that assistance or money that we're spending out could go toward employment in some areas.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Transfer to actually work that helps and contributes.
But
that's just how I look at it. You know what I mean? And I'm just not trying to get it from the government, but to somehow transition from what we're doing to something something employable. Or
go back to two things. You talked about students and scholarships, right? And as we do that, I think it was U.S. President Clinton's administration, whether it's his first or second term, and whether it was, as we call her, President Hillary, even though she wasn't in. They're talking about still welfare, workfare. I think that was the phrase that was used. I may have the timeline wrong. I may attribute it to the wrong person. But the notion that we're going to help you to get from where you are and get further on and feel more valued because you are a valuable person. And instead of being subjected to these handouts, let's use the Caymanian jargon, we give you a help up. We're going to help you to get somewhere, right? If in the Cayman context, we're hearing college grads who either have been funded partially or somewhat by government or otherwise, and are unable to find employment. Some attorneys have shared that, some in the accounting and financial sector, some with postgraduate qualifications. Maybe there's an issue. And have we identified it? Ask the question what it is and try to alleviate the burdens, because if you are presumably, college educated or have some training expertise, your country must be able to find meaningful employment for you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the U.S. is a little different because, for Black Americans, they put in place, or I think minorities in general, they put in place affirmative action, which helped a lot of people to get into jobs in different areas in the U.S.
Right.
Not saying that has to be in Cayman, but we have nothing in place.
What?
I just feel that if the government have an investment in me to get an education, then my education, they should get a benefit from that.
Right. Well, true.
Right. And I think that if anyone else that any other private sector gives a scholarship to, they expect to have some benefit from that investment.
Right.
Right. But again, I know not everybody that we give a scholarship, we can probably do that, but I think we should consider trying to get people into the system of government if you get a scholarship through government.
Let me share with you, and I'm very, very mindful of the comments, but I'm very grateful, honestly grateful to the people who have shared it as they have over the years. And it's never the intent to offend or to betray. Now, I won't shy away from, saying it directly if it's, opportune time and appropriate to do so. But take a couple of things. Employers have shared, and this seems to be an accurate statement, that they would prefer to hire people who are not subject to immigration control. They have to pay work permit fees. They recognize that it's costly to train an employee, not just the person who knows nothing about the job, but even the person that seemingly has a level of training experience already still needs to learn what that employer's expectations, systems, and the like. So there's a learning curve. Some of us find it steep, some of us adapt, easily. But yet, remember not long ago when the allegation in the hospitality sector that the Caymanians and similar people were being let go first, and the work permit holder was being retained, and the employers allegedly shared, we paid work permit fees, so we need to get them. And seemingly, it was alleged that the government was okay with that because that was fair. And as a Caymanian, you'll find work anywhere else, and if anything, you can go to government. If that was the perception of the practice, one has to wonder, is that really appropriate? But then you also turn it on a head and you ask the question, well, if you have a country where seemingly, as we do in Cayman, significant amount of people are able to come and find employment in all sectors, and a growing number of your own aren't. Why is that, right? And if, as many students have alleged, a few parents have shared, and even others in the education sector, that increasingly teachers, some parents, prospective employers, and other adults, from coaches to, have said, well, going to university, going to college doesn't make sense. Why do you want to take on the debt of a student loan? Why do you spend money on that when really there's no hope? If our children are hearing that, then maybe as influential or in these people who are saying it, and as easily sort of swayed that the young mind may be, they may decide, you know what, it doesn't make sense to go because look over here. This person has a college education and doesn't have a job. No. I wonder if that's happening.
Boy, you know what? This is such a very touching thing for me because I must say that the only reason why I went to university was because of having that tutelage, I would say, through Triple C. And when we got to our 11th grade, they kept on bringing in different colleges and showing us, and we started to get an interest. And then I must give, most credit to Winston Conley, who I'm older than, but he was the guy who said to me, you got to go to college. Yeah. College is what's going to make the difference. Yeah, man. It's probably one of the best things I think I did in my life. Well, and I think you would say the same.
Yeah, man.
Right? And I followed him. If you would say as you want to follow role models or people, you follow people that are have their mind on a positive track. Yeah. And I would say to all young kids out there is don't go with the crowd if it's for hard work and achieving something that you can't see right now. But don't go with the crowd if it's something that you can see, like a car, or go and work and just get some money. This is what we need. We need more kids, more of our young kids trying to get a higher education and lifting themselves up. Right. But we have to make sure that they can get the jobs.
But that's the thing, right? Maybe when we come back, we can speak to a number of issues. The phone lines are open. This isn't just nobody sitting around pretending we're enjoying a scotch and a sky. I would say some fish tea.
Yeah, that's next weekend, man. That's
God's willing, man. Fish tea with some cassava cake. They go good together. But we invite callers because I think it's time for us to think very, very pensively, act proactively, and be inviting in our conversation. and to appreciate that it doesn't matter where you're from, how long you've been here, how far back your roots go. Whether you like the two of us and got nice hair. I mean, if we are going to make this country the very best, all of us got to be in this boat together. And I want to invite us. And I'm thinking back to what I think was the Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, is it?
Yeah.
When she called out the banks, her recent comments to the COP26 and the like.
I'm just waiting for us to get to that. That's I'm the eco guy, so I'm here, and I just finished. Yeah. This is like very, very important. What she said was huge.
Okay. Well, let's start with that after the break, man, because I think it's time for us to fish a cut bait. You know what I mean? Let's do that. All right, phone lines are open. Susan will answer the phones. If she likes your voice, she'll put you through. If she doesn't, she'll still put you through. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Come on, Cayman. Let's get ready to reopen. Countries all over the world are proving life can go on and we can safely coexist with COVID-19 in our community. With open borders, our readiness will be vital to protect each other and our islands. We can do this. Have your voice heard and pledge you are ready to safely reopen. Visit reopencayman.com. Join the movement and pledge that you are ready to reopen on November 20.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
To those affected by a hurricane, the damage is far greater than the eye can see. It's the helplessness and uncertainty you feel when you have no electricity or running water. It's the pain of experiencing damage to your home. But there are people right here that can help. We're CG Britke. We're your neighbors. We live here and work here too. We're always ready to answer calls and to process your claims as quickly as possible. So when a storm turns your life upside down, we're here to turn it around. CG Britke. Good like that.
Had a look at those investment options yet?
Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go, good and cleaner.
Now is the time, and we are ready to help you with your household cleaning needs. And that is bedspreads, comforters, duvets, duvet covers, drapes, and so much more. All items at 10% off prepay, and turnaround time will be 2 to 3 days. Orders can be handled at all 3 stores: Elgin Avenue, Savannah Countryside, Eastern Avenue, drive-through, rain or shine. All stores close at 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Call 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
If you think you might be infected with COVID-19, take these steps to help prevent other people from getting sick. Stay home except to seek medical care. Call your doctor before visiting. Separate yourself from others who live with you. Wear a mask. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue and clean your hands right away. Schedule a COVID-19 test by visiting hsa.ky. Stay aware of how you feel. If you start to have difficulty breathing or if you're worried about your health, call your doctor. For more tips, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks too to Shane and Nobi Edwards for coming and sitting with us. And in my sort of perspective, we're sitting having a chat on the beach in your backyard, waiting for my brothers to bring the fish tea. And they make the best fish tea. Just telling you.
Yeah. All right.
No argument here. but I'm inviting our people to dialogue. Let's have meaningful discussions. We can do this respectfully and responsibly, and we can do it in a way that when we disagree and we're calling out leaders, Ms. Motley shared that it's time for leaders to be leaders. I remember hearing, and I won't say who said it at first, lead, follow, get out of the way, right? Because sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to stand aside and let people. Sometimes you need to put your shoulders to the wheel and have push. But many times, you just can't take a title and pay, get a position, a prestige, and a power, and do nothing. The time is now, my friend.
Yeah, but the climate and climate change and all the stuff that's going on with the environment.
Right.
It's not one big thing, but it's a lot of little things. And a part of that is paying attention to our trees and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And all of the emissions that are going into the sky and whatever.
Right,
burning, all those kind of things, right? So, at the end of the day, we need to be concerned with it. We need to pay attention to it. So when I start talking about these trees and stuff, people should start understanding that there's a bigger picture, and if you go back and you listen to what's happening with climate change, you'll realize that there's a large number of trees that are being taken away. There's a number of things. But one thing I was very, very impressed with when I went to the Miss Teen the other day, that all the young ladies that spoke seemed to have a keen interest in protecting the environment.
Yeah.
So that says to me that our young people have got it. At least the young ladies have got it. They're in check.
But
they're concerned about their environment.
I think this is where there's a fine line between propaganda and indoctrination, I think, sometimes, right? And the notion of making sure people understand something. I think it's always the intent and the messaging. And if you look at our young people, issues of environmental concern and protection, from recycling to how we use what we use and how we don't abuse and overuse and the like. So and I think many now have recognized that Barbados is well, from my perspective, a very astute nation, highly educated, very literate population, but seemingly poised as a former colonial sort of outpost. It has positioned itself well. and its leadership over the years has done well. This present Prime Minister the other day called out the financial services sector and the banks in particular. We hear in the Cayman context from parents who say, well, I've opened up a savings account for my child, but every month the fees are, tens of dollars. Doesn't seem like much, but at the end of the year, if you're paying $50, $100, $20 on a child's account that you put in $50 every month, as a percentage, it's significant. And as we take this caller, I want to share, because he said it as a guest here publicly. When you talk about emissions, I always reminded of Carol Lawrence's comments that maybe what we need to do is the inspectors at the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing need to be on the roads with authority that they see a vehicle that looks like it's on-road worthy, emissions and the like, not maybe necessarily in the first instance to give them a citation, but to say, hey, you need to address this, and it becomes on them. And if it's, for instance...
well, you know why, right? And I know some of these mechanic shops are going to probably get upset with me, but when they changed that government they no longer had to do all the inspections of vehicles, that changed everything, because I see some cars on the road. I wonder whether it's roadworthy.
Yeah,
I don't want to say no more than that.
No. Well, that's a perception that is shared by many.
Yeah.
And we have to question what it is, right? But therein lies the professionalism of that mechanic shop, of that inspector that is licensed or employed by government. If they go on the road, right, and they stop a vehicle, and they say, oh, this is no way that this is roadworthy, and they pull out the inspection book and they say, oh, well, you're off inspection in a couple of days, or wait a minute, you just got it yesterday, then there's a sanction to be had, both for the driver and for the entity that passed the inspection. Sometimes it's inadvertent, sometimes it's just innocent, it's nothing intentional, but maybe it is. Again, let's put authority in hands with sufficient teeth to enforce, and maybe stop pressuring the police to be everything to everybody at all times.
Yeah, but I thought that you had one of them new electric cars, because everybody got them now.
So come on.
You got that kind of money. I poor man with me up in the east, I can't afford those things.
You're rich with blessings, man. But yeah, I appreciate it. Actually, I about to go to a caller, but I remember when I first wanted an electric vehicle, right, only to be laughed at. And I thought, but I tell that story publicly. Maybe I'll share that, because sometimes you have to wonder, have we advanced or are we still rather ill-informed? Let's do this call though. Okay. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for receiving my call.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you for taking time to share with us.
Is that Nobi that you have with you?
Yes, sir. Sir, how are you doing?
Good. You sound great always,
I couldn't hear you that well there. Sorry.
I said you sound great as always.
Oh, thank you, sir.
He just wanted to hear that twice, man. That's all.
No, man. I appreciate that coming from you.
Yeah, well, I always love to see young men like yourself join the conversation, because I think that, the most important police is really ideology.
Mm-hmm.
We will find that that is taken by many people as meaning something really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But religion itself is an ideology. It's a way of thinking, it's a way of believing, it's a way of acting, it's a way of gaining that kind of cohesiveness and direction in particular organizations, i.e. institutions, church, countries. And so when we're talking about how we could, better situations, I always say, why do we always forget about values and norms and, ideas, and we're always seeing change and development as relating to things? The Bible says that in the beginning was the Word. And the Word, if we talk about it as idea, we talk about it as, the words being spirits, the words being that force that moves us, stimulates us, organizes us, directs us. So when a country does not look at having a kind of cohesive way of looking at least at the public interest, when there's no civic direction in that sense, no civic debate, because people are too paranoid and many times vindictive that they don't want to listen to anything new. What we find ourselves doing is going around the same circles, discussing the same things, having to face the same challenges, and never really advancing. And unfortunately, I've seen in this country that the physical development has long ago outstripped what I would say the idea development. You know, we wonder where are the ideas that are going to be there to be able to keep a cohesive society, in a society with so many nationalities, with so many conflicting interests. And we noticed that, and Nobi, you might not probably notice this as much in East End, where people don't even feel that there's any glue that sort of attaches them to each other anymore. People don't really care about each other anymore. And that care is important when we live in a society where we all, regardless of whether or not we realize it or not, we have a common interest.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I know you have thought very much about East End, and I was wanting to find out if you have gotten any further in thinking about ways that you can deal with what I would call the social disintegration and the society, which is, of course, impact families and, impact the communities and impact the district as a whole. And as I see all the development happen here in Georgetown and around, where we can't even move anymore because of traffic, I'm wondering if anybody is talking about how to revitalize the district of East End socially and economically. So I'm going to listen to you if you can help me there, because I'm so interested.
You give me a hard question there, but thank you.
No, but as you reflect a little bit, I joined the caller. Thanks very much for that. Who reminds us that you, as not just only a citizen of the country, but as a very, very strong proponent within your own community, your own village, right? Maybe when we come back, we can see that notion of global thinking but locally acting can transform our communities in a positive way as we celebrate, our heritage, and as we look and with a sense of hopeful expectation, as I coin it, to the future. So after this break,
I can answer him
after the break, man.
Okay.
Dr. Frank, again, thanks for that call. And when we come back,
thank you.
Well, nobody's going to share with us from that great intellect. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Dreaming of a great career or degree? The Caribbean Examinations Council offers regionally and internationally recognized qualifications to help you get there. These include the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, the Caribbean Vocational Qualification, CVQ, Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, and the CXC Associate Degree. These exams may be done while in school or out of school at private learning institutions. Visit cxc.org to learn more. With CXC, you're in control.
Each Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Optical Outlook. Visit them at their new location in Anderson Square. Telephone 746-2020. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
Get your running shoes on, ruffle your tail feathers, and prepare to work off that extra helping of turkey dinner while giving back in a big way this Thanksgiving season. Registration is now open for the 6th annual Meals on Wheels 5K Turkey Trot Fundraising Run Walk. Whether you run, jog, walk, waddle, or trot, come get active with us on Saturday, November 20th, starting and ending at Grand Ole House, South Church Street. Registration is open to all ages. Join our sponsors: Davenport Development, McAlpine, Grand Ole House, Western Resort, Progressive Distributors, Cafe Del Sol, and Radio Cayman as they support Meals on Wheels in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Register today online at www.mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 for more information. See you at the start line.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, Nobi, thanks very much for coming in. And the phone lines are available. Dr. Frank left us with a question.
And I'm hoping that I could answer.
Of course, man.
To the best that I know. First off, what I'm always going to say, because my heart is in East End. I love East End. His question is related to East End. There's no other place I'd rather live. And regardless of whatever may be going on, I still believe it's one of the best places to live on the island, right? Because I know everybody mainly. They know me, but then they're back and forth. You would have what you would call people are coming in now doing investments and what have you. I still feel somehow or another that politics has divided the district when you come to, in some cases, and that's pretty much of a challenge. But in terms of social, I thought that we could do more social activities. We first had Bonfire. We had Pirates Week. We're known to be, those two events right off the bat were some of the greatest events for the district that would encourage social, interaction. We used to have garden parties and stuff. Not much of that really happens nowadays. Of course, I think the new Representative 4 were trying a few things, but over the years with the budgeting and stuff, it has been difficult. I don't know what to say about how to improve the social well-being of the district of East End. However, I would say that what I'm doing is I'm invested in the district. I'm doing several different businesses within the district, always keeping my identity as an East Ender. I don't want to be anyone else.
Right.
Can't be anyone else. That's me. And that's what I would like to see from the rest of my friends that are there. Everybody has their own unique personality, but when it comes together, there's not a lot of fighting or anything. We can all really socialize. I really would like to see more activities within the district.
Like what?
To be honest, all year round. There's a lot of things. I've always been a firm advocate of, doing my own not-for-profit, which is hard because I can't get the funding that the Leos or the Lions can get, or someone else that comes along that, is not local, not in Cayman, they end up getting millions of dollars. I remember a friend of mine saying to me when I was doing East End Surf Challenge, Fish Tea Cook-Off, Captain Leroy Sailing Regatta, East End Food Festival, just name it. These are all the things that I've done in the district of East End over years with my funds. The girl just said to me, "You're being a philanthropist before you even make money." Right?
Yeah.
You need to make money to be a philanthropist, and it's very hard to do these things, maintain your sanctity and your financial well-being when they don't come to fruition the way that you would like them.
But you didn't have any ulterior motives, right? You were doing this for the good of the country, right?
Of course.
And your district specifically.
But you don't want to just do an event that loses and you have to put money back in. You want to do an event that makes money, that you can make the contributions that you're set out to do.
Right.
And that's the issue. So most of those other social clubs like Leo's or what have you, maybe from this they'll strike and they'll probably say something different. I don't see them active in my community. We would have to go to Georgetown to get involved in that. I believe that in the districts we need to form more social clubs that kids can interact with each other and probably realize they have some common ground that they can start doing different things in the district. On top of that, like how I've invested in the district, I think that there should be more people, and people that have more money than me that are from East End should be investing back in the district without, waiting for other investors that are not from there to do investment. Because that's clearly lacking. All of the businesses right now are not East Ender owned. Not all, but many of them, right, that are coming up. But I do appreciate those people making that investment because it is improving the conveniences of the district, right? Where we can go to different places and buy different things at different times of the week. At one point, you couldn't buy stuff on a Sunday. Now you can go down to different places, right? I don't like the idea that there's about 3 different liquor stores, but I guess that's how it is, But to answer Mr. Frank question, that it's very difficult to improve, for me to say what it is to improve the social well-being of the District of East End, but it is a collective effort. And that collective effort means more activities, because people have to communicate with each other to get a better social interaction. When we did Bonfire, when we did Paris Week, we didn't only interact with our people from the district, but there were other people coming in. Not only did that help for, the economy within the district, because, people are going to come and spend money and other people are selling stuff, and it's more because East End doesn't have a big influx of people all year round. Certain times of year or on the weekends, people go up there. But you need that interaction, that economic, impact almost, makes a difference, right? So when we do these events, that's what the results are, affecting people in that way.
Well, that's certainly a greater investment in sort of the social investment. All right, when we come back from our news break, maybe we'll ask, because you were sharing that, I realize that someone listening might say, but Grand Cayman is so small. But that pride that you have for being in East End is a scene that the Georgetown has, the north side of the Bordentown or the West Bay, and of course the Cayman Bracken and those on Little Cayman. People would say, like it is probably in England, certainly in the US, a New Yorker is not a Texan, who is not, a Californian, right? But let's look at those special sort of attributes of each village and talk about it when we come back.
Okay.
All right. Join us after the break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
A 22-year-old West Bay man is formally charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm after turning himself into authorities last Tuesday. He was wanted in connection with a report of shots fired in West Bay in early July. He appeared in court Thursday and was remanded into custody. He is scheduled for Grand Court on November 12th. Turning to international news now, the Biden administration's sweeping new COVID-19 mandate will apply to 84 million workers at mid-size and large companies. U.S. President Joe Biden described the rules issued Thursday as urgently needed to get more Americans inoculated. Though confirmed viral cases and deaths have fallen sharply since the start of the year, they remain dangerously high, especially in some areas and industries. Average case numbers have leveled off at about 70,000 new infections a day and confirmed viral deaths at more than 1,200 a day. Ethiopia's Tigray forces on Friday joined other armed and opposition groups around the country in an alliance against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to seek a political transition after a year of devastating war, and they left the possibility open for his exit by force. The alliance includes the Tigray forces, who are fighting Ethiopian and allied forces, as well as the Oromo Liberation Army fighting alongside Tigray forces and 7 other groups. And drug maker Pfizer said Friday its experimental pill designed to fight coronavirus reduced the risk of hospitalization and death for high-risk patients taking part in a trial of the drug. The company hopes it can eventually offer the pill, given in combination with an older antiviral drug called Ritonavir, to people to take at home before they get sick enough to go to the hospital. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us in the studio, good friend Nobi. And as we were sharing, the phone lines are available if you want to share as we go into the weekend. Now we know that Monday following, not this one, we celebrate Remembrance Day. But we understand the importance. Some of us, our fathers, our uncles, our grandfathers in particular, fought in the wars and championed that freedom. As school children, we're proud of the war, the poppy, and maybe you even have understood its importance. But I say that to ask ourselves, as we go into this weekend, amidst all that is happening, can we think lovingly, right, and deliberately about finding ways to come together as a people within our country? And let's not abdicate our responsibilities as parents and be lazy parenting. Let us not, shy away from the need to stand in a gap. Let us not expect the politician nor the police to do everything, right? When we should be the body of knowledge, that repository of resources that goes out and contributes in a positive way. But speaking to what Dr. Frank was sort of asking, maybe I'll extend that. Every sort of community, each community in all of our districts have certain little things that were recognizable. They've changed. Landmarks have been bulldozed, people have moved on and moved away, and those iconic things that were indicative. I ask someone, when you think of Westview, what comes to mind? Is it the Bosun Bay Lighthouse, for instance, or the hills, there in Burst Tree Hill? Or what is it? Some would surprise you. Boy, I remember one big, tamarind tree. It's no longer there. We just lost one in the last weather system. That was always on the corner. When you think of East End, what is it that comes to mind? Sometimes it's a person, right? I wonder, are we championing those things? I say that to say that when Dr. Frank talked, about the men, despite the very expressive manner in which they may have had their deliberations, they would meet in town, and there was a particular large tree that discussions were had. Yeah. Only for it to be cut down by a sitting judge, ordered to be cut down, right? You have to wonder, what does that do for the psyche of a community? I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with me being riding on the road and stuff, I see so much things that are missing. And it's just kind of sad because it's taken away from our history in some way. But then, we can build it back. We can build things, or we can think of creative ways of putting things there that would make a difference.
Right.
But again, I'm of the opinion that, and again, because I'm doing the bicycle thing and I'm in the environment, people may think I'm just thinking about me, but the environment out there is for everybody. I can't control it. I just like to see it, right? And there are other people that like to enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
But if you get an appreciation for your environment, then everybody would be wanting to see it look better. Right.
And something that you have shared, if I misquote you or misunderstood, publicly tell me now, right? But you talked about championing the environment. Maybe, as I understood, maybe using the environmental fund to purchase certain properties. I think as a result of your, constant reminder, even here, we've seen now, was it the National Trust or some other entity announcing at least a campaign, or whether that'll be of anything we'll see, to acquire certain properties. That's not going to just benefit us today, but if we do it properly, maybe 100 years from today, 1,000 years from today.
I don't think that you're correct, but I don't think that they're gonna purchase the Collier's bird sanctuary, Collier's Pond. I don't think they're gonna purchase that because they say it's already protected. I have a different opinion on it because I think international protection versus local possession, right, for the people of the Cayman Islands is a different thing. Right. And that's what we need. We need it to be for the people of the Cayman Islands, that everybody can go there and be able to go to the pond and access it, and people could understand the values of having it, that you can see these birds and how everything work around there, but the ecosystem and everything. But I guess they are focusing on other areas. I am keen on this area because we're now actively developing East End, and actively developing East End means that some things are going to change very drastically, right? And we have to protect whatever we can protect now, right?
But you can't miss something until it's gone, right? So you need to appreciate it before it is too late.
Exactly.
All right.
And every one of the people who are living around that area, if that pond is gone, I mean, yeah, you can see the sea. Everybody's focusing on the sea, but on that side, it does have a nice view ambience as well.
Right.
And it's something that we should protect.
Let me ask, and it's probably something that people can say is the same no matter where they're from, right? They've experienced it. Is it then that we who live here, and let's just say the Caymanians of generation, sort of linkage, not lineage, okay, linkage, let's say the deliberate, may have seen this thing, but somehow see it but don't appreciate it, take it for granted, right? So like many of us who live, let's say in East End, for instance, and every morning we know that that's a 3-hour drive to and from work. Our children up from 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get to school for 8 o'clock or whatever it is. That is in progress for them. So they need to physically move closer to where they live, where they work and go to school, instead of having that work and schooling closer to where they live. And then like a country talks about brain drain, whereas people leave the country for economic and employment opportunities elsewhere, the districts are losing its people, and by extension its communities, because people are moving from there to elsewhere. And then in the process, well, this beach land or this swamp land has no value because we can't farm it, we don't see the value in it. Someone comes along, gives us, what is it Mr. Roy talks about, a pottage, a reference in Smith. And end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're correct. I think that's how it is. But most people wouldn't say that directly. They just do their investments or buy a property outside of the district and forget about it. I'm one of those that live in the district and still worried about it or concerned about it. It's just funny, right? Because there are other people that could come and they can go diving and look at coral and tell you the coral needs to be protected. Everybody is like, we got to protect the coral. But here I am, a local in a district, saying the pond need to be protected. And nobody's concerned. You know what I'm saying? We need to, we need to look at these trees. We need to look at these other things. It's not concerned. And half of what we're talking about in the sea, although it still affects us, right? 90% of the Cayman is not going to see it.
Right. But then is it that two people saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
One is someone we know their people, the accent, the way they look, sound, and reflect us. But we don't hear, we don't adhere what is being shared. The other person, probably the first time they came, maybe they saw a picture somewhere, but boy, we take on board what is being said. If that is the case, then how come we disrespect our own so much? We're so disparaging. We're so willing, right, to take our own and discard everything they say, all that they are. But some two-bit, no good, as one old woman would tell me the other day, little upstart from nowhere comes there and we put them on a pedestal.
What it comes down to, and it's very, very key, is that people who come here, they do their homework, they review things, they study it, they analyze it, and when they speak, they know everything about it. In our case, sometimes we don't take that initiative, and we don't have the interest in it. Okay. Like I'm saying right now, like I would love to see something within the district of East End where the kids are more involved with the eco part of the district, where we have a group of people that are dealing with the cleanups rather than waiting on some other entity to come to the district to do a cleanup for plastics. Right. I can be honest with you, be straight. I have not been to any of the cleanups of plastics. I haven't. People will say, well, whatever. I haven't. I would love to see that's an initiative that we take to keep our community clean. That is what we need to do. I would love to see more of our own people being involved in the blue iguana conservation, right? Because that's our animal, and we need to take pride in that.
Right.
That's just how I think.
No, fair enough. Right? And to your point, is it then that two things, right? Our people, those who have been here for a long time or been here long enough to know, they see some people connected to some things, and immediately they have formed a perception, oh, there's an ulterior motive. That person, I wouldn't be, and they say all sorts of things, probably truthfully, right? So knowing the person, we disassociate. And then on top of that, is it then that as a people we've forgotten the practices of our forefathers? Waste not, want not. They respected and valued everything, and they saw the importance. If my father wouldn't mind me sort of publicly sharing my love and respect for what I think is a man of great vision, right? We would go fishing as children, and we weren't allowed to take certain fish. Certain fish had to be a certain size. If they were this big and they were breeding, they were excluded at certain times. There were no conservation laws. He would say, we'll say something tomorrow. I, as a child, I took that literally. Well, we went yesterday, Dad, today's tomorrow was yesterday, tomorrow, so let's go do it now. And then quickly I realized, he meant not just today after today, tomorrow, right? Not everybody did that, and it wasn't always. How many conchs we getting at dinner? I can't tell you there were 5, right, or more. He brought some for somebody else, but it was always done with a healthy sense of respect. And he was like all of the people of his generation across all of the districts. That was their example. Even though you had to be careful sometimes walking in the Hidabaka stage and step on conch shells. They were plentiful, but they were selective, and they were responsible, and they were respectful, right? We of today, whether we're from here or whether we just come here, we don't seem to have that same level of respect. So what is the challenge?
We are taught what we respect. We're taught to pay attention to what we respect. I am, again, this is my opinion, and I'm not going against any other part of the island, but I can for what I know, I feel that East End is the last of the great frontier. What do you call it?
Yeah, man, you said that,
right?
Man.
And I hope and pray that the representative takes it very serious, notes things very serious about this district development and all these issues, because there are concerns and there are things that we have to pay attention to now. Don't just say yes.
Right. Well, I guess as a good friend of mine, she tells me, whatever is your priority, that's what gets your attention.
Yeah.
All right, we got a call told, but we also have the final break. If it's possible, we can join the caller right after. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go, with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway. Eat fresh.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in the studio, excellent company of Nobi, as we truly not just respect and recognize your contribution, but really appreciate you taking the drive, come and sharing some time with us. Maybe through your words, others would be encouraged. We do have a call. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, well, thanks for welcoming me back.
Thank you very much.
I've been listening, and I felt that Nobi covered the topic very well. And I think, Dwayne, you also always do a fabulous job in leading conversations that have to do with social consciousness and development.
Thank you.
And I think it's the point that I wanted to emphasize is the importance of ideas. And ideas include values and norms, and how we changed old norms to new norms and old ideas to new ideas, how they are refreshed, and the amount of force that is necessary in a society or within a group in order to remove ideas, to get the change in ideas and attitudes and outlooks which is necessary for people to keep abreast the physical material development. This is something that I am sure of in my years as a sociologist and my reading and my writing. I understand the importance of people being able to change the force within the society which shapes ideas and causes people to begin to cooperate and operate in different manners that are up to date with the kinds of material and economic development patterns which exist. In the District of East End, that is a good case in point of the idea of force. What is the force? What is the driving force within that society? Probably ideas and values, or a sense of coexistence that is related to the fishing village sort of cooperation and collaboration. But it might not be up to a kind of existence where people are competing against each other and where material things are much more important than what somebody says to me or about me. So we find that the churches played very important roles before, but the roles of the church is now surpassed. And so civic society and civic organizations become more important because they become more forceful, because they give people the kind of social and economic reach in terms of how they have contacts and influence than, say, the churches might still be doing. So we look at that, and you brought up a very important point about the Rotaries, the Lions, and the different types of social organizations that we're seeing operate in the District of Georgetown, in the capital. But we don't see those types of activities in Northside, East End, Bordentown, and West Bay. So that the focus of people are in regards to commercial relationships, and they're no longer interested in family relationships, interested in church relationships. They're no longer interested in the kinds of community relationships. They're interested in material relationships because that's where the force is. That's where the prestige is. That's where one really sees getting one's reward. And because we have not tried to balance this, we have gone lopsided so that we see only one type of people being operating and only one type of people being recognized for contribution. The contribution that Nobi has made, and I got involved with you as a minister of government in terms of supporting your projects there. The fact that those things were not continued, the fact that people did not continue to give you this kind of support, the fact that we see each other as we reach up, meaning that, oh, he might compete with me, so we pull the other one down the ladder. Those types of things, and perhaps our government, our politicians are more responsible for this than anyone else. They are more the culprits in tearing people down because of fear of them having influence that might compete with them. And so this has to be aired. That has to be brought out. It has to be brought to the public attention that the politicians and the political directorate might be playing a very adverse role in terms of social building, social consciousness, and the promotion of these things. It should not just be left up to the Department of Youth and Sports. It should be left up also to the community to raise these types of things. And your involvement in sports, your involvement in cultural tourism, I really admire it. I really admired your calm approach to how your society could become a little bit more passionate and compassionate about the citizens, the members of the community, by having, for instance, cultural tourism, by having somebody go eat some cake from those people, and those types of activities that East End was engaged in should be more often. It should get more support. The government and the member there, who I love and respect, because He has spent so much time in the arts and developing the arts and giving his time to the arts. I think that more art can come to East End. East Enders have the talent for music. Rodrigo Zong is a national hero in my estimate. Bernal Dixon and all those people, those Dixons there, the way they dance, their quadrille, the way they did these things, their cake, their fish, your story, history in East End is very great. That's tourism, cultural tourism. People can build around that, and I would ask you to encourage your representative to look at what you have, look at what you could offer other people, as you've been saying in terms of the cottage tourism, that is taking people on tours, and begin to get young people involved in it. But they have to provide the economic support for it, because those industries, those cottage industries, will not make money right away, but they should be sponsored immediately, and you should begin to get people to be able to tell the story of their life, of their village, and try to keep East End as a kind of unique kind of society that offers this boutique tourism. I think that concept should surface again.
Yes. And, you know, I really appreciate you making those comments, Dr. Frank. You're spot on. You know, I do my part, but like I said to people, I'm not taking credit. It is the district of East End and the people that are there, because when I do my tours to the district and I introduce people to the district or take them down there, I had some guests that quarantined with me and stayed extra, and I took them to the district, and people accept them and talk to them and communicate with them about how they live and stuff, and that's important. And it's not just about me, it's about the district of East End. So at the end of the day, you know, I must say I think that the minister, sorry, is the minister, right? MP, right?
Yeah, so he's a councillor, MP, parliamentary secretary.
Yeah. He is actually, I do think that he realizes this, and I do think that he would be a person that you can approach that would work with this. I have not approached him about much of this, because in the past when I started it, there was another MP, and you know, although my stuff has been going on forever, there haven't been much. I've been fighting the fight, right? But I must say that is not, doing this type of thing is not cheap. It's not easy. That's the only problem, right? That people gotta understand.
Yeah, they should, and he of all people should understand that. And I'm saying this because I want to encourage you, and I want to encourage him.
Thank you.
To buckle down, and I mean buckle down, and you can do it. I have an interest in East End. That's one of the reasons why I put Captain George Dixon Park there, and name it after him. Okay, I have an interest in East End, and when I was told that I needed to make a survey in terms of what to name the park, I said no. That's my great-grandfather, George Dixon, and that park needs to go there because he was the first colored man that was qualified as a real sea captain with papers and everything, you know. My grandmother, Lila Dixon, she traveled with him. That's why she ended up in Cuba. We have a rich history in East End. Isaac is my cousin, just like Arden was my cousin. Same way. We have to work with him at the moment and try to do what we can do for East End. You are a critical person in terms of what can happen, because you underground, you know, you're creative, you use your imagination like incredible, and the young people especially need to be involved in some kind of economic activity that can give them a reward, and they can still keep their pride and make the transition to other jobs perhaps later on.
But there was another gentleman that had contacted me as well, and he was wanted to do something that I thought was very creative, but he has left since and went to the UK. But you know, like when I started my business, I had to make sure, put a budget aside And if you go, I contacted one or two people before to do investments, and I thought that they would, and it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to work to get it, right? But at the end of the day, what most of these kids need to understand is that you have to show your initiative. You have to do the work, right? For years before I started doing my tours, I was riding the road with people. I was trying to understand what it was I was into, that I can do a great job at it.
Well, Dr. Frank, thank you very much, sir, for listening and certainly taking time to share your thoughts. You have great insight as a parliamentarian and as a social commentator. I think he calls us all to appreciate the importance of sociology. So thank you very much, sir. Have a blessed and safe weekend.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Nobody always welcome you, and I appreciate it. Maybe through these continuing discussions, we'll ensure that the emphasis on our environmental protection is paramount. We'll start to appreciate that just like you're a champion for East End, we need to have other champions from the district and collectively for the nation. One voice, can resonate deeply and profoundly if it's allowed to have a platform.
But they need to put the work in, because I work hard. I work hard. So I never got anything really given to me. I work hard. At the end of the day, they need to work hard. If you can't get up at 5 a.m. to do your job, especially when you're in the tourism industry, it's not gonna work.
Well, my mom would say,
I'm telling you.
Is it a proverb? Don't let the sun burn you to the bed. All right.
Yeah.
My brothers, for them, half a day. When they say they only working half a day today, that's 12 hours, right? And I understood that very early. Now, maybe many of us work too hard and don't play enough.
Yeah.
I've said this, I know that you, like many, very humble. That sense of humility. We don't take compliments, certainly public compliments, but when you made that wonderful meal, hucks in the coconut, grating it from hand, a sign of fellowship, of communal love. We need to do more of that. We need to show the traditions. We need to share the love, man. So it's a blessing, man.
You know what? What we have to look at, we have to be humble, and we have to look at life that we are just a servant.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And we should humble ourselves, because every day we're not promised.
No man's promised tomorrow, man. And like you, I call a great friend, like the serving MP for East End, Mr. Isaac Douglas Rankin. I call a great friend as well. I hope, because of that nobody would hold it against you guys because I consider you friends, right? But at the end of the day, we're in this boat together, right? And it's not that we have to bail it out because it's leaking. It's that we have, a plan to prosper for future generations. What our parents and their parents and their parents' parents would say, make provision, right? Now, was it future-proof? You got to stop trying to reinvent the wheel and start embracing the practices that are tried and true as we are innovative. So I appreciate it very much, man. Everything. Looking forward to having you in the studio again.
Boy, thank you for having me again. Last time I thought that I had expired because I was talking about COVID and all that. I'm no specialist in that business.
So we asked you to you offered up a song. I don't know if Miss Susan was able to find it. No, if we can't find the song,
end up with a song.
I know the song that you were thinking about.
You sure?
Yeah. Well, you shared it with us. You were talking about coming up.
Miss Susan ever find it?
I don't know. Tell us a song so she can remember. She said a different title. So you were saying God is love. And who was the singers?
Yeah, Miss Beres Hammond and
Popcorn. So she'll find it if it's there. But it could be that you don't have the right title.
Got the right title.
It's not possible. Nobody's not ready. Yeah. That's not impossible. But this is where I think, and asking us to look to the message in the music. Let's look to what we as a people can do for each other, and not so much what we take, but what we give. Yeah. We give love, we get love, and that sense of humility is important.
Well, as usual, when I come on here, I'm a strong believer in God, because I know I wouldn't be here today. And I say that, honestly, because of how much struggles I've been through my life.
Yeah.
And I'm here, and I'm able to participate. And that's why I'm making my voice be heard, whether people like it or not, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, right?
Yeah. Well, someone reminds me and say, boy, if you don't believe in God, you shouldn't, because you're best player. I mean, you don't know where you'll be. But God is love, right? She found the song. This is
she found it. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Man, yeah, man. All right, Monday join. All right.
So let's remember, God is love.
Amen, brother.
All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly.
You see, faith is a key that opens all doors. Yeah, if you believe, patient, my brother, you will receive, yeah. Oh, be not offended by negative things that people say. Oh, oh, Popcorn says again.
All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. Lifetime contract, me and God never lose contact. Vegan, well warm and stock. Them want eat man food like snack. Them judge real, stereotype man true man black. See the enemy I set them trap. Almighty I push them back. Hey, just fear no evil as you go on. No. Yeah.
Give praises, another day is done.
Love your life, love your family. Yeah. Now if you overcome this struggle, don't get weary. We cry out for the poor and needy. Just be careful where them a feed with.
Just be calm and be gentle. Respect everyone. Could be your mother, your father, your aunt and your sister. Yes, and your brother.
And me say family. Miss Rona pray for me. No evil us, nor envious cannot devour me. Stay far from poverty, Jah rule me destiny. Shane Brown and popcorn and berries, you know we blessed for real. All I know is God is holy. Take your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. Your life is precious, protect it is one. Drew Island say we have to give thanks, yeah. When you wake up, you have to give thanks, yeah. And before you sleep, you have to give thanks, yeah. Jah guide way out on the highway. Love to see them living in love like highway.
When all is said and done, only one life we gotta live, yes.
All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. All I know is God is holy. Protect your life, it's the one and only. Evil people will kill you slowly. All I know.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the